Welcome back to the CANDYcolored studio. I'm artist Katrina Berg. This is episode 212, and I've got so many things I want to share with you today. I'm actually looking forward to it. I haven't done a video version episode in a little while, and this one is, I'm going to be sharing some videos, some photos. I'll show you some stuff in my studio. And so if you want to go watch that, it'll be on YouTube, but it'll also be on my website, on my podcast page. Just click on that for the video version. And then also it'll be on Spotify. So those are 3 places that you can actually watch it, but it's okay. If you only have time to listen, I will do as best description as I possibly can. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so many things. It is fall break here, and we used to just call it UEA, and I can't remember. It's like Utah Educational, I don't know, something. It's kind of like a little break for teachers, but then they ended up slowly giving us more days. And so we have let's see, 5, 6, 7 full days off of school, plus the weekends. We have 2 weekends. And so it's very, very fun. And it's been an exciting time. I just love fall, and it's been awesome. So I woke up, it was the first official day of fall where they weren't at school, fall break. And the twins were in my studio just painting away. My daughter was in the kitchen baking for her little business. Our middle son was off mowing lawns. And then later our oldest was off to work at his job at the golf course. So it's just interesting how we wake up and we're all doing these different things. And I will share with you some of the paintings the twins have been up to, but I'm not going to share them until after fall break because they have literally painted so many pieces. I'm guessing there's at least 15. They've been so busy, but this is I think our younger twin, he really wanted to do oil painting, I don't know, it's been a few months. And so he did one and then he didn't do any more. And then he told me the other day, I want to paint. I said, okay, let's get it set up. And then his big twin wanted to do it as well. And so it was his first time using the artisan oils by Winsor & Newton. And obviously I'm a big fan, but it's really good for kids because you're just using soap and water to clean up. And it's my go-to whenever people ask me, what are your suggestions? And I'm like, well, obviously watercolor and acrylic are super easy for kids. If you want your kids to have a little space, make a space for them. But when they're ready to do something more, these Winsor & Newton oils, they're water mixable. Like I said, they just clean up with soap and water, and it's so easy. So it's been really, really fun. They've gotten in their groove. So it's been great. Other fun things. So yesterday, was it yesterday? Oh, it's been a full week already. But yesterday, the most amazing ladies rode their bikes to our house and came for a studio visit. And we had the most wonderful time together. Just gems of ladies. And the gal that actually reached out to me originally, Allie, she and my Aunt Michelle raised their kids together in Springville. They were very best friends. And so this was a really, really fun kismet, just reconnecting. And I totally remember Allie. I can tell you exactly which house was Michelle's and which ones was Allie's. And so I totally remember coming to visit and getting to know her and her kids. And so that was really sweet as well. So that was really fun. So I'll show you some pictures and videos of that. And then other cool things. Tonight is the opening for the Springville Art Museum's spiritual show, and it's from 6:30 to 8:30. If you want to go, I will be there. If you want to go see the exhibit, it will be up until January 11th. So you have lots of time to go. That will be really good. And then, of course, just a reminder that the Doorways to Divinity show opens November 4th, and that's at Written Vision, Provo Center Street. And that's going to be a really special show. MacArthur Krishna, I'm just dying to see what she's put together for the show, but it's going to be awesome. And then other fun things, Beljar is they are in, and it's amazing. Everything over there is absolutely amazing. We went over today to get one of my big pieces because it's on its way to its new home. And so I've got to get that all packaged up and safe for shipping to go out of state. And so I'll tell you how that whole thing goes. I've been calling a lot of people. But anyways, so that's happening. But we got to go to Beljar, and the feeling is just so perfect for them. And I'm just so honored to have my artwork in there. Just love those ladies, Des and Amy, so much. And all of the ladies that work there, they're just, saw Melissa today and had to give her a hug because they're just all so wonderful. But anyways, so that's happening. I do have one piece over there right now, Tenderly. Actually, I should pull it up and show you for those of you that are visually watching this episode. I showed it a little bit, or maybe I just talked about it in one of my previous episodes, but I'm excited to share that one with you. So it's like 21.5 inches in diameter. And then of course it has an amazing Todd Orchard frame that's been gold leaf and like hand plastered, crafted. Like it's a piece of artwork. Like it is a stunner. So that is around it. So the piece is called Tenderly, and it's named after that beautiful song. Hold on, let's see. By Sarah Vaughan. And I will just share with you. Let's see. Let me open this up and then I can share it with you. Maybe. Let's see. Okay. How do I do this? Share. And we pick this. Okay. And I think it's going. Okay, that's awesome. So there it is. So it's just a really simple but really fun, sweet piece. A really light, like the lightest of lavender lilac backgrounds with a protea, the cutest little tropical birds, some orchids, a little eucalyptus branch, and then of course one of those really fun vases with like the knobbies. So anyways, that's what the painting looks like. And then there's an image with Todd's amazing frame before I actually put it in it, but I was just showing it to Des so she knew what she was getting. There's another one. Oh, I guess I should have turned that one upside down. There you go. And I know I have one in situ. Oh, here we go. So here's some. I hung it up in the dining room before I took it, so you can kind of get an idea for scale. But I think with the frame, it's probably, another 4 inches on each side. So maybe, 20, just under 30 inches. Is that right? That's my best guess. I'll have to measure it again, but I might have it on my website. I may have measured it on my website. Anyways, so there's a couple pictures of it in the dining room, and that gorgeous furniture piece came from Beljar. So it's like, that's why I love those ladies. It just all fits together. But anyways, that is that piece. And I'm going to stop sharing, or maybe I should just show you some of these other things I've got to show you. Hold on. I started this new little folder called Studio. So I'm just going to walk you through, maybe not that one. I'm going to walk you some of the fun stuff that we've been up to in the studio, outside the studio. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. All right, here it comes. So speaking of that amazing paint, I had a friend reach out to me. I believe she's a senior this year in high school. And she said, hey, would you teach an art class for my young women's group and I? And I was like, I don't really teach classes, but I can show you how to use this particular oil paint that I use and how easy it is and how easy to clean up and all these fun things. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, if we still have sunflowers, you can paint sunflowers if you want. Anyway, so they came. And if you're looking at the image, I mean, darling, darling girls, everything they did was absolutely amazing. They all painted something totally different. It was super cute. In fact, here is just like a little view of what they painted. We had birds, we had flowers, we had like fun little dreams, we had landscapes. Oh, really, really, really fun stuff. So that happened, and that was so fun to have them. And then the next day I was like, oh, these pretty sunflowers, I got to take a picture with our Paris map. So there's a picture of that. It's always fun to see what these pieces look like in the studio. And then the twins had a friend come over, and his sweet mom, this is their best friend, his sweet mom brought us some yummy veggies out of their garden. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't just eat these. So first I had to let them hang out in the dining room for a little bit and hang out with the sunflowers so we can enjoy that. And then we did make some spaghetti squash out of the one, and it was delicious. But another fun thing is that our oldest, Karsten, took the twins to Dad's and donuts at school because Carl was gone and he had something previously planned before we found out about it. But anyways, that was really fun. The boys had a good time with him. And then I think I've told you that I started working on more big pieces for my show. And so this is me prepping. And I thought the best way to do it was just to start painting them outside, let them dry. And you can see I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 really huge pieces that are just outside. And I'm either gessoing them on this big table or they're drying in the sunshine. So that's kind of, Carl was so cute to take that picture. Anyway, so there's that. And then, oh, let me tell you, I have been talking nonstop about these leaves. Well, here is just a few pictures of what we have been seeing on our mountain. And for those of you that live a little bit further away, we are about 5 minutes from the mountains. Like, we are so close. We're just, right in this small little valley, but really close to the mountains. And so we love to go as much as we possibly can. And so we went up back-to-back nights, like a week ago. I don't know. Time is so, I can't even remember anymore. I'm just like, oh, these are so great. So anyways, so when we went, I think it was the first weekend of October, and the reds were just absolutely incredible, but the yellows had come out from the aspens. And so it was just really, really fun to kind of go through all these different gorgeous colors, and they still look amazing. Like, every day we look up in the mountains, we're like, oh, it looks different, but it's so beautiful. So here is a great view from up by the trail to go to Blood's Lake. And it's just the twins and I up there at the lookout point. And then on our way home, I don't know, we pulled over and Mateus found his rock. He decided to call it his rock. And so I had to take a picture of him. He's so cute. Anyways, he was very happy up there on that mountain, just exploring. Anyways, we had such a good time. So if you're close, the colors are still amazing. So get out there. And of course, the sunsets with the colors, it's like impossible to capture with my phone, but this gives you a little taste of like just how magical it was. But again, this one, the next night we had Anna Clear with us, and that was really fun. And we went to another, so we went one night, we went from Midway over to Park City, and we went that way, and that's always fun. And then the next night we went up the canyon, Hobble Creek, maybe? No, not Hobble Creek. What is it called? Huber Grove. We went past Huber Grove in the state park and straight up. Anyways, that's where we were. I can't remember what that one's called, but it's absolutely stunning up there as well. Just, yeah, such a treat to be up there with the kids. We went with 4 of them that night, and that was really fun. So again, we've just been enjoying those squash and brought home some leaves from our fun adventures. And so we've been decorating the house with that. And I like to really, I don't know, the kids like to put the little stickies up in the window, but Carl and I love to just bring branches in, and that's always fun. Okay, so here's 2 of the big pieces, and this is actually going to be a diptych. So I had to like get it all drawn up, but I wanted it to really flow into each other. I want the pieces to be able to stand alone by themselves, but also really communicate together. And so this one's really going to be exciting. You'll see a couple other pictures of it. I'm still slowly working away. And then it has my latest piece. It's called, let's see, what is it called? Laissez-moi t'aimer. Laissez-moi t'aimer, which means let me love you. So that's the piece that's on the studio table. It was just drying. I don't know if I'd varnished it yet. I think it was just safely drying while I was starting to draw this diptych. And then when this must have been a day the kids were at school, I had a few days in a row where the deer were just hanging out with me all day. And it was so much fun. And you can see one of the pieces or one of the boards of that diptych I've got started on, but you can also see the deer, and that's always really sweet. So there's 2 in this picture. And then I think I've got a third. I did a little video and I'm just playing it right now, and you can kind of see the diptych. And then I have this beautiful corner window in my studio. And so the deer are just coming around the corner. I'm just, oh, there he is. At one point, I think I caught one of them licking the window, and they usually do that in winter. They don't usually do it in fall, but maybe I haven't been paying close enough attention. So that's what this deer is doing, this little buck, and just a lot of fun to be with the deer. they just totally make it all worth it in the studio, especially while the kids are gone. So there's that. Just makes my day. They come right up to the window. I don't know if the glare is there and they just can't completely see that I'm there, but a lot of times they'll see me and they'll watch me. So it just depends on the light, but you can kind of see a little bit of what I've been doing. And then here's just a few pictures in the house. We finally got that gorgeous big piece framed with Todd's amazing, one of his latest frames, and it's absolutely exquisite. So you can kind of get a peek at that. And then of course, here's some pictures of the twins painting away. This was one of the first ones that Mateus did during fall break. And then Taggart came and joined him, and it's been so much fun. So that's kind of what's been happening. It's been very busy in the studio. I have been working, but I feel like I always get so busy helping everybody that it's not always quite, I'm not as productive, but that's okay. That's okay. We're enjoying fall break. It's been fantastic. No complaints there. So those are that. And then I just wanted to show you, let me show you this other piece, but I'm going to stop sharing. How do I do that? Stop sharing. There we go. Okay, so let me grab this piece. Okay, I'm holding it right up to the camera. Maybe. Let's see if it'll, I don't know how much of it you can see, but again, this is called Laissez-moi t'aimer, like let me love you. You can kind of see the shine. Yeah, okay. I'll definitely have to share, I could probably share some more pictures of those in the podcast show notes. But anyways, yeah, that piece, I've been doing some research about blackbirds, and I was thinking about just like fall and typical symbols that or just like things that we think about with fall. And of course I was thinking about blackbirds. And so I was doing all this research, and I learned that blackbirds are like this amazing, they have this amazing symbol of helping people from this life to the next, helping people with grief, helping like just with sorrow and with death and all those things. And I thought that was interesting because I think that it's always got a negative connotation, at least in my experience. But from what I'm learning, it can be a real comfort. So I wanted to include those blackbirds. And then there's like a few Gerby daisies, and I can't remember what that other anemone. I know I'm not saying it right. Some pussy willow, and then of course some eucalyptus branches, and of course a chinoiserie vase with a little hummingbird. So those are like the key points to that piece. But I'm going to go pick up the frame tonight from Todd, and so that should be over at Beljar maybe as early as tomorrow. So we'll see. It'll be there this week though. If you go in, you can definitely see it. And this one's a little bit bigger. I can't remember. This one might be closer to like 25 inches in diameter. Diameter. Yeah. Anyways. Okay. Fun things. So again, lots of things going on in the studio. Never a dull moment, but it's always good. And then, I have to show you this. Well, I wanted to show you the biker babes. Biking babes. Anyways, let's see if I can share that with you. Hold on just a second. So we're going to share one more time. This one, share. Okay, so Allie Johnson is my Aunt Michelle's bestie. So Bikin' Babes is the name of their group, and they go on rides like once a week. And sometimes they go and stop at artist studios. They were talking about how much they love Kathleen Peterson. She's a total gem. Her daughter, Star, just lives through the field from me. Anyways, so much fun. So I'll just read to you for those of you listening, but it says ride number 27, Midway, Utah, and artist Katrina Madsen Berg. What a dreamy place to ride today with the autumn colors. Yeah, it was amazing yesterday. Midway has a real feel of serenity that's hard to put into words, but easy to feel. So delightful to visit with Katrina Madsen Berg, a niece of my late dear sister friend, Michelle Ashton. I could see her many times in our time together, and that was especially special to me because Michelle, I love my Aunt Michelle so much, and I miss her, and I think about her all the time, and I even talk to her sometimes. I have these little conversations that I send up to her. But anyways, it was really special to spend time with Allie and her just amazing friends. She said, we all gathered in her studio where she creates while sharing her unique home, fabulous studio, and candy-colored art. A woman worth knowing. Anyways, really nice things. But let me show you some of the cute pictures. So there's this one. I don't know if it's going to get big. Let's see. Oh, it does. It gets a little bigger. So these cute ladies. And Allie even made me like this darling potted plant. And she made everything. It's amazing. So that was really, really sweet. And then I got to get on my bike and ride with them to lunch afterwards. And that was so fun. So here's just a few of the ladies in this picture. This is a view from their ride of Deer Creek. And of course, here we are in the studio, just hanging out. In fact, they had cute Jill, who's to my right. We were afraid she broke her toe. And so it was kind of a very eventful. Here they are helping Jill. They're so cute. And then here's cute Allie and our milkweed. And she was just like dressed so perfectly to she could just stay there, our little model. And this is gorgeous Mindy on her bike with the Snake Creek in the background. And here they are riding. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So here's another gorgeous fall picture from Midway. And then I think this is all their gear. You guys, they were set. They were ready. They had bike pumps ready. They even had boots in one of the cars, and that's what they helped Jill with. These ladies are amazing. And then here they are. They're just coming down the road, and they're gonna push their bells, their little bike ringer things. But it was so fun to see them just ride up to our house. So anyways, lots and lots of fun. I'm going to stop sharing now. Okay. Did that work? I think it worked. So again, that was such a treat. Thank you, Allie and ladies, for coming. That was just what a fun day. Okay. So let's jump into some other, now I'm done sharing. You're reading my notes. It's all good. You know that I have to be somewhat organized or else I'm kind of a disaster on here. Okay, so opportunities for artists and collectors. Okay, so my suggestion for today, for this week, would be join a new artist email list. And so why is that so great? If you're a collector, it's great because you can learn about the artist, their purpose, their why. You can better understand their process and technique. And also you can find out when and where they're having shows so that you can make sure and go if you're available. Now for artists, I think it's another really beneficial thing to join other artists' email lists because writing emails and like having an email list can be totally overwhelming. I would be lying if I didn't say that I don't still get anxiety from it from time to time. But I feel like when you subscribe to other artists' emails, like, first of all, it's good to have an example of ways that you can do an email because there's so many different ways you can have an email. So it's just good to like see what's out there and kind of use that to find what feels right for you and what fits you and your studio, your process, all those things. And then of course, it's also fun for you to get to know that artist better because we all need to have artists need support. And I think it was so fun for me to be with those ladies yesterday, because I told them, I'm like, this is kind of a lonely job and I love it. But it is fun to interact with people from time to time. And so I think this helps you get to know other artists. And you can definitely reach out and interact with them via the email list. And so that's fun. But then I also think it's a fun way and another great way for you to find out about new shows and events that maybe you're not doing, see if it's something that you would like to also participate in. So fun stuff there. Okay, artist tip for the week. So Jessica of the Inspired Painter podcast, she recently did an episode about living up to our potential at artists. Okay, hold on. I'm going to start over. This is her title. Are you living up to your potential artistic abilities? And I thought, oh, that's such a good question. By the way, this is episode 106, and I would totally recommend you go listen to it. I think it's only like 10 or 11 minutes long. I will embed it in the show notes, but if you want to just go listen on your podcast player, it's the Inspired Painter podcast, and it's Jessica's episode number 106. And what I thought was so great, here's just a few topics that she covered. She talked about artistic integrity. She talked about your why, deadlines, financial goals, and reaching the next level. And those were all really great things. But listening to that episode, I had some questions myself. And the first question I said, okay, well, what is it? What lack I yet is my first question. Like, so you could ask yourself the same question, like what is it that you're lacking in your process or in your why, your purpose, your financial goals? You could find similar ones to Jessica, or you could create your own. And then the next question I thought are, what are 3 things that I can do to improve? And then the third thing that I would suggest after listening to this fantastic episode is set a time frame. So write down 3 things that you want to improve on with your art practice, your financial stuff, anything. And then set some times to look back and see how you're doing. And then what I would recommend, what works for me, is to set a goal and look back at it after a month. Look back at those goals again after 6 months, and then also a year, and kind of see how that's going. So artistic tip of the week, Jessica, you're so great. And Jessica leaves tomorrow. She's going to Ireland with her family. So that's going to be amazing. So excited for her. So again, the Inspired Painter podcast, episode 106. All right, let's get into our topic. So I promised you that I would tell you about our Telemundo episode recently. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but it all started when my parents were in town and our oldest said, I found the car of my dreams. I have enough money. I want to go buy it. He says he's got someone else coming and I need to hurry and get there first. And we're like, okay. And he wanted Carl to go with him, but Carl couldn't go. And I'm obviously a very poor second, but I was like, I'll go with you. And so we literally had to get in the car and go right then. And of course it wasn't close. It was almost to Ogden, which is about an hour away, more than that. I think it took us over an hour to get there. But anyways, so we get in there and we're hurrying and oh my heavens, he was driving a little bit too fast. At one point long story short, we get there and we take it on a test drive and he knew it was what he wanted. And so he paid for it. He got the title and off we went on our merry way. And on the way there, he even called the guy and said, I'll pay you a little bit extra if you can hold it for us. And the guy was like, sure. That should have been a clue. That should have been a clue right there that there really wasn't somebody else coming, that we hurried there for no reason. But anyways, I don't know, but I'm just guessing that was the case. So we get there, we get the car. Anyways, a week goes by. And okay. So what happened was a few days after that, Carl went in with Karsten to go get to register the car. Okay. And they said, you can't register this car. Well, why can't we register this car? Well, I can't tell you. We're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What is going on with this car? And so they wouldn't give us any information, probably privacy laws. I don't know. I can't remember what the reason was that the DMV said. But they said, this title, you can't register this car. And so we're like, okay. So then Carson kept working with the main guy. And the guy kept saying, okay, I'll send it tomorrow. I'll put it in the mail in a couple days. This and that. There were just all these excuses. Well, I think it was like 6 weeks went by and we still didn't have the title. And what we didn't know is that it's actually illegal. Word to the wise. This is probably something we should, I don't know, maybe they covered in driver's ed, but you can get pulled over and even arrested if you're driving a car that's not registered or doesn't have the title's not in your name. So we kept wondering, we think he was getting gaslighted. And so we were a little concerned. But eventually we were just trying to let him do it on his own. You know, he's 17. And finally he came home one day and he's like, I'm going to meet the guy. I'm going to give him the title and he's going to give me the other one. And I was like, well, if you give him the title and you come home, then we have nothing. We have nothing concrete. So you could get pulled over and you don't have a title. He could say you stole it. I mean, there were all these things that we were concerned about. And so finally I said, let's call a few people. Let's look up some more information and see what we can figure out. So we had called, I can't remember what we did first. I think my husband was talking to the previous owner, but he wouldn't even talk to Carl. He had his wife talk to Carl. And so that was a little red flag too, because it was like, oh no, he's too busy. He can't talk to you. And so that was weird. And just a lot of the conversation was very, very strange. So meanwhile, I think Karsten had just been texting her for a while. And then we finally called over to our sheriff's office and said, help us better understand what to do. Or maybe we even called the DMV again and they said, call the sheriff's office, have them run the VIN and find out what's going on with this car. And so we felt like we were getting a little bit further. By this time, Carl had already been to the DMV like 3 different times, because one of the things the DMV said was, if you will just have the previous owner fill out this paperwork, then everything will be fine. So the guy filled it out, but then he forged the signature of the guy that's on the title because he is not on the title. I know this is so crazy. And I promise we will get to the telemundo part. So there were, again, all these red flags. Nothing was really working out correctly. The previous owners were starting to get frustrated because we were asking a lot of questions. I mean, obviously Carl was talking to her, but we were asking a lot of questions. So we called the sheriff's office. And they said, oh, yeah, we'll just send them over when they get a chance. So they came and they arrived while Carl was talking to the gal. And I said, here, you can kind of listen to what's, because she was on speaker. And so we listened and they went out and they ran the VIN. And sure enough, the title that we have is one person's name. The people we bought it from, a different person's name. The lady that we paid for the car on Venmo, different name. That's the third name. And the lady whose actual name is on the registration is a fourth name. Okay. Okay. So we got the 2 previous owners. Okay. We really have 5 people involved. Okay. This is very, very confusing. I don't even know if I can explain it, but anyways, so the sheriff's deputy or whatever, he basically said the best thing you can do at this point that would be the easiest, now that we know who, so I guess the one gal had started. Okay. I'm just going to back up. So apparently there was a husband and a wife and things happened and they decided to get a divorce and she got the car. Okay, so she leaves, but meanwhile, she gets a restraining order on her husband, her ex-husband. And so there was that. So she starts registering this car. And then I think she decides she just wants to be done with the car. She wants to be done with this relationship, clean slate, moving on. And so then she sells the car to an ex-boyfriend. Okay, again, telemundo. So the ex-boyfriend is the guy that Karsten bought the car from. Okay. So then he immediately puts it up for sale for a lot more than what the gal sold it for, which is beside the point. But where they started to get really nervous was because I finally started looking online. Hold on. Let me shut this curtain. Whew. Okay. So they're telling us all these excuses as to why they can't get us the title. And so we just looked it up. We looked up the house that we bought the car from. We looked at who owned the house. That's the 6th name. There was another person's name that owned the house that they were in, and it's not their name. And so Carl's like, okay, the house that we bought the car at, is that your house? And she's like, well, I don't know what house you bought the car at. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how many different places do you call home? Are we caught up in a scam? Are you selling cars from multiple houses that aren't even yours? So many questions, I'm like, oh my heavens. So they're like, oh yeah, we own the house. We're like, well then who's this person? How do you know that name? They're like, well, it's on the county records. Are you she's like, "Are you investigating me? You're asking private questions. Though you can't know that information." We're like, "Well, this is on public record on the county, on the county records." And she was so freaked out. Anyway, so she was upset. Well, meanwhile, the sheriff's deputy had reached out to this gal that had started the process, the one who had gone through the divorce. And she was like, "Yeah, it was my car. I didn't finish the registration. I would be happy to help Karsten get everything fixed." So that was great. So then she said that we could call her. So in between the sheriff's deputy giving us her number and us calling her, the boyfriend's wife, the ex-boyfriend's wife, had then called that lady and chewed her out and said, "Don't talk to these people. They're crazy. They're investigating us." All this stuff. So there was just, it was like, I was like, oh gosh, somebody could totally I don't know. It literally felt like we were in a movie or a Telemundo episode. And at one point, the sheriff deputy said, "Really, what you were a part of, you're not really a victim." He said, "Fortunately, what happened was you witnessed a crime because the ex-boyfriend ended up forging the ex-husband's name on the title for us to turn in, or the title document, whatever, to turn into the DMV." So this all was happening. Fortunately, the woman who had started the registration process that got out of that nasty divorce, she was willing to help us, which was good, because since she had a restraining order on the ex-husband, we couldn't go talk to the ex-husband. She couldn't go talk to the ex-husband unless there were lawyers involved. So it would have cost her a lot of money and the ex-husband a lot of money to help us figure this out. So it was better instead of having the ex-husband sign over the title to Karsten, we needed to have the ex-wife help us. Oh my gosh. It is like, seriously, way too many people that we don't know involved in this car. So I will tell you though, we learned a lot. I think it was kind of like one of those adrenaline pumping afternoons. The whole thing's been a little bit crazy, but it was a really good learning experience for us. Carl and I learned a lot. We had a great experience with the deputy and his partner. They were really nice, really kind, just really helped us, just kind of understand what we could do, what our rights were. And anyway, so that's kind of what happened. And then one of the things they told us was get the information from, get this, the ex-wife, get these papers filled out, have her send in this stuff. And it could take, what did they say, up to 3 months for the DMV, whatever special department this was, to then give you the registration. So in that time, you can't drive the car. And we were like, oh my gosh, he's already been illegally driving it for six or 7 weeks by this point. So it would be another 3 months. Oh my gosh. So, but we were like, we were all in, we were committed. We'd figured out that Karsten could take his old truck back and drive that for a while. Anyways, long story short, basically what happened was miracles of miracles. And we called it the week of miracles because the paperwork came within like a week from the DMV. And we were just like blown away. And we were so grateful because we just needed all of that to be behind us. And so what's so funny? Well, first of all, it was a really good experience for us because Karsten was so willing to just be responsible for this all by himself. And he at one point is like, it's my car. I'm almost an adult. Let me handle it. And I'm like, no, I totally agree with you. Like, I appreciate that you're being responsible, but we are still here as your parents to support you and we are your biggest fans. So let us support you. Please let us support you. Like, you will not always be home with us. Let us be here for you. And it was kind of a good like changing moment for all three of us. And we worked on it together. And I just feel like because of that week of miracles, so many other really great things have happened within our relationship. And we've just had, I don't know, it was a lot of things have happened since then. And one of those things is that Karsten's ready to sell that car. I don't So if you have need, if you or anyone is local and wants to buy, I don't know, it's like, what is it? Is it a Mazda? This is terrible. I should know. But anyways, the point is, it's just a cute little car. He decided he really likes a manual, and so he wants to go back to his truck. I'm sure he would give you a decent price, and there would be a legal title that you could have. But I think the latest thing is maybe we want to wait till the registration. I don't know. Point is, the Telemundo episode, I tell you, I learned so much, just being a parent, being a wife, being a mother. Like, it's just so overwhelming sometimes. But I just thank God that, you know, our heavenly parents were watching over us, watching over Karsten. I think that ultimately there weren't any like villains in this story, but there were some, you know, there were some bad choices made by all of us involved, and it just kind of erupted into a Telemundo episode. So that's kind of the topic for today's podcast, but I want to end with a red pill. And if you're not familiar with the word red pill, I would encourage you to go check out the movie, The Matrix. And the whole idea is that you've got this fake world and you have the real world. And there comes a point where Neo, I think his name is Neo, he has to choose. He knows there's something else going on. And so he can either choose to see what's really happening and never go back, or he can just stay where he's at. And he chose the red pill. He chose to find out what was really happening in his world. And he wanted to see the system around, the corruption. He wanted to see it all. And so what I like to do at the, you know, within these episodes is just to give you a little red pill, something that I've been thinking about the past week, and something that you might also enjoy looking at or considering. Again, you get to choose the red pill or the blue pill. You can turn off the episode right now and just stay in the happy blue pill, or you can actually look at some of these things. So what I'd like to share with you today is about finance, and specifically our Federal Reserve. So I'm just going to give you some topics of things that I've been seeing in alternative media and the Intel channels. And I'm going to give you a link. I'll put an episode, an audio file episode about the true history of the Titanic. So the whole title is The True History of the Titanic, the False Flag, and Satanic Sacrifice. Anyways, and then it cuts off. But anyways, I'm gonna include that in there. It wasn't a very long episode, but if you want to hear some alternative views on what really happened with the Titanic, it's a really good overview, and also just helps us kind of understand our financial system, what kind of started it in this way. And then, of course, I would just recommend that you go deep dive in some of these topics. So find out about the Federal Reserve. Who really owns it? Is it, I guess I shouldn't say too much, but I would say look into the Federal Reserve and who owns it, okay? Then the second one is look up the difference between the Titanic and the Olympic. So the Titanic ship had a sister ship called the Olympic. So look up those two names. And then, of course, I would say go watch this episode. If you've ever wondered if there was something more happening with the Titanic, there's lots of really great episodes and videos out there that I've seen over the years. But this one is a really good kind of like kickstart. And there were a couple of things in there that I didn't actually know before I listened to it. So it was really interesting. The last thing I would say is that it is always a good idea to be prepared. And that doesn't mean we have to like buy a bomb shelter or, you know, have, I don't know, there's all kinds of possible ways that you can be a prepper. But I would really recommend that you would consider having enough food, water, and cash for about 10 days. And there's been some interesting things happening in the markets the last week or two, interesting things happening in the world, interesting things happening on the world stage, the political stage, all kinds of things. But that would be my recommendation. 10 days of food, water, and cash. And food, you don't need to go crazy. Some canned goods would be good. Even just a big bag of rice and beans from Costco will go a long way. So that would be my recommendation. And again, go check out those little topics. I would recommend not using Google. Try DuckDuckGo. or use both of them and see what different things you find, because it's true. There's a lot of curated stuff on the internet, but see what you can find, and you're welcome to, you're always welcome to ask questions, but definitely check out that video. It's a good one. So much love to you from the CANDYcolored studio. Have a good night.